Lowell, congratulations. It's Mark Williams from British Cinematographer.
Mark.
Yes.
Lovely to see you.
Howdy again. You too, sir. And to pick up on our conversation of the other evening, where we talked about taking this static art form of architecture and trying to convey the power and emotion of that to audiences with the fluid art form of cinema. Can you maybe elaborate on that here more about the techniques and the various techniques and film, the collaborations that you brought to translate that to audiences?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting conundrum for a cinematographer because the film is about brutalist architecture, which, of course, by its nature is fairly static. And of course, I'm a, I work with the moving image, So really, I mean, the conversations I had with Brady were about how, the second half of the film is when the Institute becomes manifest. And it's like, well, what does that feel like to the audience and to someone? Had Laszlo Toth existed, had he built these incredible buildings in the brutalist architectural style, how would that have felt, So a lot of it was obviously about choice of focal length, was about height of camera, was about movement, was about speed of traveling through these spaces. I mean, I think the most obvious example I can think of at the moment is at the end of the movie when they're looking for Van Buren, and we sort of finally understand. I mean, there's a moment in the movie where we see the altarpiece, the Carrera marble altarpiece. We see everything coming together. All of these things that Laszlo has spoken about in terms of the light coming down and forming the cross on the altarpiece. It wasn't originally. It was originally sort of revealed earlier in the movie, and the more that we worked on the film, the more Brady realized that should be kept back, so the flashlight, the gag with the flashlight and things. And so at the very end, you finally see it, But also then there's this interesting thing because there's, the crucifix is a very strong signifier of death, and then you tilt up and it's an inverted crucifix. So there are many things that are sort of either implied or the audiences, I mean, it's the best thing about film, that audiences can kind of interpret it in their own way, So yeah, I mean, it's, that was really how we sort of discussed architecture, and Judy really ran with it, and for me, it was really about how do I interpret that as a cinematographer.
Next question, 393.
Hi there, my name is Izzy Betts. I'm with Chapman University's Panther newspaper. I'm right here in the front.
Oh, hey.
Over here.
Hey.
Hi, congrats on your win.
Thank you.
Is there any advice you would give to film students or aspiring cinematographers who just watched you win your award for cinematography? Any advice you would give to them going forward if they want to be like you someday?
Well, that's a really interesting question because it doesn't seem that long ago that I was in that position, right? So I think that a certain, without wanting to sound arrogant or whatever, but self-belief and having something to say. I mean, I remember having never shot a film and being so frustrated that no one wanted my, vision. Yeah. I mean, that's what it takes, it takes an understanding. But it's for all of the wonderful things that's happening on social media that didn't happen when I was younger. All of the sort of how-to, there's a lot of technical, there's a lot of kind of technical advice or technical kind of like illustration, which is incredible and it's really beneficial. But it's also, it does not a great film make, It's like you have to have something to say. It's like if I met a great painter, I could talk about the paintbrushes, but it's what are you trying to say when you're painting the picture, right? And anybody of that, anyone that's trying to sort of like express something in any medium, it has to come from somewhere. It has to come from a heart, as Chris Doyle would say. It has to come from experience, and that is the thing that sort of transcends the technical. And so for me, it's a strange thing because I have, as Jim Jarmusch said about Robbie Mueller, one foot is in the technical canoe and one is in the creative, And so it's a means to an end. Like, I fully appreciate it, and exploration of lenses, but without, you have to, it's all about telling the story and contributing to the story, so.
Thank you.
Final question, 101 in the back on your left.
Hello, Natalie Ralston from the Daily Bruin.
Hello.
Congratulations on your win.
Thank you.
The Brutalist is very visually striking. Oh.
What happened? Thank you. Good night.
Hi.
You can finish your question.
Fantastic performance.
Thank you.
Well done.
Okay. The Brutalist is very visually striking with its use of light and architecture playing a huge role in the storytelling. What was your approach to crafting the film's distinct visual language, and how did you use cinematography to reflect the passage of time?
Well, again, that's a very good question. I think Brady and I, even though the film takes place from the late 1940s, after the Second World War, all the way through to 1980. I mean, admittedly, there's a big leap to 1980, but we didn't approach it with this idea of like, oh, well, this decade is going to look like this decade. We wanted a cohesive sense, sort of aesthetic. I suppose the only deviation really is that the film ends in 1980 at the Biennale, and in some ways, the sort of use of the digibeta is an in-joke, or is a little bit of a, if not an in-joke, it's a comment that Brady is making thematically about progress, or, sense of progress. It's like, we've just seen the beauty of film, the beauty of VistaVision, and then it's like, well, don't worry, we now have 1980, So for me, I find it very humorous, the end sequence, because it's clearly not as beautiful as the rest of the film, So, yeah, it's, does that go in some way to answer your question? Could you ask me the question one more time? Would you mind? Just once more.
Yes.
Sorry.
No worries. What was your approach to crafting the film's distinct visual language, and how did you use cinematography to reflect the passage of time?
Yeah, so, essentially, this is the third film I've shot with Brady and for Brady, so we've always chosen to shoot film, And the interesting thing is that all three films, Vox Lux, Childhood of a Leader, and The Brutalist, are all period films, and we've chosen to shoot on film, and that's been our choice, and really it's about just, the way that we work, and I've spoken about this, so I don't want to kind of like get too in the weeds with it, but essentially, there's a lot of preparation. Day one, we enter the set very, very prepared, but in many ways we enter it prepared in terms of the technical. Do we have the Steadicam that we spoke about? Do we have the handheld that we spoke about? Yes, we do. But we're not looking, for me, personally, it's not about looking at this. And when I say this, that's the storyboard and the shot list, because I'm then going into the scene like that. What I like to do is look at the space and the performance, and then figure out, well, what is this scene about? And so it's a very instinctual thing for Brady and I. It's like, well, maybe we thought it was 4 or 5 shots, but it was another thing. So, even though we're prepared, we're very alive in the moment, and I hope, and I'm pretty sure, that the movie has a vitality and an energy because of that, So that's how I would describe our process. So I feel like something weird has happened in the background.
Anyway. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.